Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. This is Juliet, and this is UX and Time. And as you know, September has been all about building community. And we have the part two of unleashing the power of community. And I'm super excited because, again, community has been one of the biggest tools, one of the biggest things that have helped me to grow in my profession as when I changed into a new career as a UX designer. So let's bring our guest. Hello, hello. How's it going? How are you?
Great, thank you.
Great.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
have,
having me on.
yeah, nice to have the both of you. Why don't we start telling who you are? So Melanie, do you want to start?
Yeah, so my name is Melanie. I've been a graphic designer for about 10 years, freelancer for about 8 years. So, a little bit about me. I kind of pivoted to product design when I started the Collective Studio about 3 years ago. And I kind of help businesses develop their MVPs. I'm also doing visual design as well as brand development and strategy.
Cool, thank you. Grace, what about you?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I am a UX designer, founder, and content creator, and world traveler now. I created Design Buddies 3 years ago as well, during the pandemic when I was transitioning my career to UX design as a student studying bio and computer engineering. Long story short, I wanted some friends, and I made Design Buddies to have friends and to learn design with. I am also a UX designer at Electronic Arts EA, designing products for content creators and events. And on the side, I also create content about design and career on LinkedIn and lifestyle and travel on Instagram.
Love it. I mean, we were just talking about your travel 2 seconds ago. But before we start jumping into the question and what we're here for, that is building community, why don't you tell me, Grace, I found a unique fact about you.
I guess a unique fact is, I am level 200 on Maple Story, which is max level on this game I really like. And I love playing games a lot. Like as a kid, I wasn't allowed to play games. My parents told me to study more, so I woke up at 3 a.m. every day as a kid to play games, and that was my developed my passion in games. So now I work in the games industry.
That's why I have never get a job in the game industry because I'm just so bad at it. I have tried many times and it's not my thing. So every time that someone tells me that, it's like, how do you do it? I won't wake up at 3 in the morning to play, but maybe that's what I need to start doing to get good at it. Yeah. Melanie, what about you?
I'm terrible at introductions. I never really know what to say, but I did prepare something, so don't worry. So I used to live in the UK for about 2 years and worked in the nightlife industry there. So I'm also like a big house music fan, and I love collecting vinyl records.
Oh,
So a little
what
bit
is,
about me.
yeah, what is one vinyl that is like your favorite, something that is like gold that you have?
Gold. Okay. Oh, I have a lot of favorites, but Armin van Helden is probably a good one because I think everyone's heard of that guy. He's really famous in the Netherlands. And who else do I like? Probably Machine Drum as well. I'm not sure if you guys heard of it, but like, sorry if I'm boring you.
No,
It's really weird. I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. It's funny because I mean,
Yeah.
I when I ask about this, if you ask me which one is my favorite band or my favorite singer, I
Yeah.
wouldn't know even the songs that I like. So I think
Mhm.
I just don't know. Thank you for that. Okay, I know that you both of you already share a little bit about what you do for work, but maybe if you take us about the day to day or what kind of projects maybe you are working on, so we can tell people. Melanie, let's get back to you.
Yeah, so I am a freelancer. I mostly help like either key stakeholders or startup owners to kind of help either rebrand or build an MVP or prototypes and stuff like that. So past clients that I've had were the Cheers app. It was like an entrepreneur based in New York City that I kind of worked with. Me and my friend Claire, who's also the co-founder of the Collective Studio as well. We worked with them for our first client when we became product designers, and it was a really fun project for us to work on. Another thing that I did was I did a branding logo for an off-bred thoroughbred track horses for a business based in the US as well. Also in the past, when I was a graphic designer, I worked with like Whirlpool, Spin Master, Scotiabank. There weren't the most interesting jobs, but I had like a varied career in the sense that like I've worked in different industries and worked with different businesses. So it's been really fun.
I feel like that's one of my favorite things about being a freelancer, that you get to work in so many spaces and in so many different aspects. I love it. Thank you. What about you, Grace? Do
Yeah.
you get to play at work? Yes.
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes I play games to do some user research as well, so I can like empathize with my users, with the creators. So yeah, I work on a lot of random stuff. Like at Design Buddies, I'm working right now courting a lot of like partnerships and sponsorships with big brands to do events, design challenges, conferences, in person and online events. So it's been really exciting. We're doing our first conference. At EA, I work on products for content creators and events. So I work on EA events and EA Creator Network. So I work a lot with gaming content creators. And I'm also working on growing on LinkedIn and Instagram, like creating design and career related content on Instagram. I'm trying to do more like travel tips and destinations on like posts and reels and TikToks and everything as well. And I like to draw. I love drawing all the emotes and design buddies, drawing all the branding and drawing a lot for fun. Yeah, and I'm also working on trying to travel everywhere. I've been to average of 20 countries a year, so I'm trying to keep that on as well, like digital nomading.
20 countries a year.
Yeah, that's like I'm trying to keep that up for the next couple of years.
That's fun. Well, I mean, you pack a lot in the last month, yeah. So that helps you out with those 20.
Mhm.
Oh, I feel like that's a lot of math that I need to do to try to keep up with that. I did 3 this year. I'm a little behind. Okay. What does community mean for you, Grace?
I feel like I feel community. I originally started Design Buddies just to make friends. I wanted some friends to learn design together, share knowledge, help each other out, whether it be like portfolio reviews, job referrals, sharing knowledge, sharing resources. And I had no idea like what was a community. I was just like, I just want some friends and I want them all talking to each other and I want to talk to them. I want friends to make friends. And these days, I feel like community is a collective of people having the same interests and mutually talking to each other. So it's not like centered around me or centered around one specific person, but it's everyone just sharing about themselves and helping each other out.
I love it. Yes, and it's nice how you said I just wanted to make some friends and work together, and then boom, this is what you ended up having. Great, so I love it. Melanie, what about you?
To me, I think it's about finding your people, finding some common ground, obviously, and also a safe place for discourse and sharing information with each other. So, something with the collective studio that I'm really proud of is we have a lot of members that kind of come to our channels to kind of get like a second look on their design process or what they're working on and getting like critical feedback to help them get better. Because I find that those conversations really do help people to improve as designers, especially if they're starting off alone. So I want to just kind of create a place where like if people come across a problem or there's fear and anxiety, that they can meet other people that have gone through it, know what they're doing, and can also help you out as well.
Well, and I think this take us kind of really well to, if you can share, Melanie, a little bit of that journey, that what motivate you to start your community.
It's a really long story, and it started off in the pandemic when everything was changing, and there was a lot of things changing for me as well. So I've gone through like personal losses, family members just passing away during the pandemic, and my usual client roster would just suddenly disappear. So I was accustomed to having all this work coming my way, and then suddenly everything was just stopped, right? So I felt like there was like a loss of connection, a loss of like, okay, like I can't see my friends anymore, can't see my usual clients anymore. What do I do? Does anyone else feel this way? And I thought, well, if other people are going through the kind of same situation where they're trying to change their career and they're finding it like a struggle, that I want to kind of create like a safe space where it's like, hey, let's work together. We might not know each other. It might be like a situation like this where we're all kind of in the same call, kind of talking about ideas. And then we feel temporarily like removed from the madness from our life and actually focus on building something like a great idea that you have. And, setting aside the kind of excuses that you would make for yourself and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to spend some time this weekend to have fun. work with these different people I've never met and work on different challenge prompts. So, I mean, I may have probably needed to go back and explain what the workshops are all about. So when I started the Collective Studio, I didn't really know what a workshop was. I had a basic idea of like, I want a collaborative experience where people can be online like this and work on challenge prompts, but how? And I came across this really cool studio based in Germany, AJ and Smart. I watched some of their videos on YouTube and I started to get like a like an explosion of ideas. Like, oh my God, there's Miro. So you actually have a digital whiteboard where you work with other people in real time. That's amazing because that's exactly what I wanted to do. So I really appreciate AJ and Smart because they gave me a set of tools and a way of practicing design thinking and helping other people to learn it as well. So Collective Studio for me was just like another way for me to share my passion and to learn about something and also get people involved in the same thing together and work on projects together. So yeah, that's a really long story, but like yeah, that's it.
Love it. But I mean, I feel like I usually don't talk too much about UX and theme and other things that I do, but I feel like the pandemic, it was just such a space that give us or allow us to look for community and look ways to connect in a different medium. Yes, that for us at the beginning was a lot of virtual. But Grace, what about you? What was your journey?
Yeah, for my journey, it was a lot of like experimentation, a lot of failing, a lot of taking risks. So, when I was a student, so a little backtracking a bit, in college, I was studying bioengineering and computer engineering. I was like pre-med, software engineering, game dev, and then I decided to transition my career into UX design. I would say like the end of 2019 when I graduated from college. And I also used to be really shy. Like I was scared of networking events. Like it intimidated me. I was like, networking sounds so like adulty. I'm like a kid. I like it sounds like I don't know how to adult. And then I remember at my one of my first tech conference, I went to Grace Hopper in person in 2019, and I was observing people in these career boots, and they seemed to be putting themselves out there. And I was just like, I am not like that. I'm just so scared of these people. So I decided to like put myself out of my comfort zone. I hosted my first ever in-person meetup. It was just like a random tech meetup at Disney Springs next to my hotel near the convention center. I made it the day before, posted on the Facebook group, and 100 people showed up. And I was like, wow. And I forced myself to like warm up so I can talk to these recruiters to hopefully get a job. And that was like so fun. So I had such a great time. I realized people aren't that scary. They're just like friends I can make. And I took that and I brought it back to my hometown, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Bay Area. And so I just hosted a lot of like work study sessions with different Facebook groups in tech and met a lot of cool people. Hosting these like meetups about once a week or so. I was a grad student at that time, just graduated from my undergrad. So I was still like pretty young. And then during the pandemic, I was like, oh no, I can't talk to people anymore. I don't know how to like, and so I decided just to like start Design Buddies. And at the same time, I was like I had a lot of imposter syndrome. Like I felt like kind of behind in my career because I spent all this time doing engineering. I wanted to do UX design and everyone else went to art school. But I also reached out to a lot of people on LinkedIn and found that people are like happy to share knowledge. And I was like, why not I just do this at scale? So I made Design Buddies and just had everyone just like join it and like share each other because I'm just like, people can like have useful things to share. And so we got I made the Discord in April of 2020, shared it on all of my social media sites, and also encouraged people to share it with their friends too. And so we got our first 1,000 members in our first month. And then Figma reached out to us to do like a workshop. And I was like, wow, we can work with brands. And so we started doing more. They're all unpaid at that time. And so by working with these like big brands like Figma, Adobe, we started like building our reputation. And they also promoted us too. So we kept growing and people share it with their friends. Students share it with their college friends as well. So about 3 years later, we have nearly 60,000 members. So it was a lot of journey, a lot of trial and error, made a lot of mistakes along the way that I'm now really grateful for.
Love it. And what I like about this, and again, for whole September, I will just talk with so many of you, like so many co-founders of different communities. And it's amazing how, like, even again, I just talked to 7 of you in the past month, and all of you are so useful. Like, your communities are so unique to what they are, that is, I feel like no one is competing to each other. Like, I feel like that's what I've been loving the most about this, that is being so unique and so powerful for everybody that they join any of the communities. You talk a little bit, Grace, how you were shy and then you realized that maybe you were not that shy anymore and that you really like to talk to people and network. So how's being building a community possibly impacted your personal or professional life?
A lot, actually, because growing up in the Bay Area, I felt like I was in a bubble. And then having a community of people helped unlock me with so many different perspectives and lives from people from different geographic backgrounds and really different backgrounds than me. And what I really like about Design Buddies is that people seem really open minded to learn about opinions and schools of thought that might be different than theirs. Not to like always try to be the right person, but just come in the lens of like listening and understanding each other and respecting and just being curious about each other's like backgrounds and differences. So I really like that. And personally for me, this year we did a lot of in-person events. I guess the two events that really what made a mark in my life was we hosted an in-person event in Config and SF, San Francisco, and 500 people showed up live. And I was like, this is so fun. And these are like longtime Design Buddies members since 2020. And we saw them like in person, was really cool. And then we hosted another event across the world in Singapore in July, and almost 200 people showed up. And it motivated them to keep hosting, like it motivated the people in the buddies in Singapore to keep continuing like these design and tech meetups, which is really fun. And I initially wanted to host that meetup in Singapore because I wanted some friends to do touristy things with. So I met like hundreds of people to hang out with, and it was really fun. And I was able to like make an impact in their community as well. So it was really cool seeing these online community like go into in-person and impacting people beyond myself too.
I feel a lot of people that went to Config, and I have talked about, not that they didn't mention Config at all, but they mentioned the things that they did outside of Config, and they went to meeting people in person that they have known like online for a while. Again, one of your communities, for example, Grace, that for sure I know that they went and they were super excited to see all the virtual friends in person. So love that. What about you, Melanie?
Yeah, so I haven't had many in-person experiences. I'm super introverted. So apart from that, I'm really happy that the community has impacted me positively and also made impacts on my professional life as well. So through the collective studio, I actually learned how to be like a better co-founder, a better leader, and a better listener overall as a person. So especially when it came to working with my co-founder Claire, we had communication differences. We've learned how to be understanding and also flexible of each other's personalities and our communication differences. And I'm really grateful for that, because I think it's the real problem when you get into business with your friends, is the fact that you may have different ideas to take the business in a different direction. And one person wants this, the other person wants that. And through the collective studio, I felt that between me and Claire, we've worked out our own way of navigating leadership. And also when it comes to the culture that we create with our volunteers.
Oh no, we lost Melanie for a second. Let's. Oh, hold on. Oh, okay.
Am I here?
Yes. You.
Okay.
We lost you for a second. Okay.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay, I'm back. All right. So what was the last thing that you heard? I don't want to.
No, you were talking about how the two of you have managed to balance it out between each other.
Yeah, like creative differences and leadership direction. So the collective studio kind of helped us to kind of like tighten down on what we should do as leaders to make sure that the community moves forward, and we learn to respect each other as well. So that's something that I'm really grateful for, because it's not like I have the opportunity to kind of challenge myself in this way, especially when you have like thousands of people in your audience. It's important to think about every decision as mattering to everyone and being considerate of everyone involved in the process of leading the direction of the community. So it is run like a startup. It's run like a business, and we're trying to do everything right. When it comes to our volunteer team, I really learned how to be a good kind of coach for other people. So I kind of had to remind myself that there are some cases where, I kind of wish I had a mentor that was available on the jobs when I didn't have clear direction from leadership, or I felt like perhaps the constructive criticism was too harsh. I felt like this is an opportunity for me to be that person that would have been there for me if they were, and also to remind myself to kind of take it easy, because running a community is really hard. And I had a lot of great ambitious goals. I'm like, I want to do this at the end of the year, and when it doesn't happen, not to disparage yourself or to feel like you failed, but to learn how to like move towards that direction without feeling panicked or worried about not doing all the right things. So yeah, I think it's been a humbling experience. I'm really super grateful about it.
And I don't know if both of you were thinking about that managing side, planning side when you started a community. I feel like it's something that as you keep going, it's like, oh, we want to grow, we want to do all of this. But for that, you have to put so much energy and to be so much involved. And I feel like one of the things that I like the most of building anything is that experience that you get, like personal experience that allowed you to grow in so many different ways that sometimes a job wouldn't give you.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, I love inspiring stories. So Melanie, do you have any like memorable or a highlight of like your community of one of your members' stories?
There are a few. One I kind of remember more prominently. It's this girl based in Ireland. She was studying UX design from a coding boot camp in Ireland, and she took the one of our design sprint workshops, and she actually used the project that she created from our workshops towards a portfolio that helped her to get a job. So hearing about that kind of made me feel like, yeah, like what we're doing really works and it really does help people. But also the fact that we invited her back to the server to kind of give a talk, to like have her chance to be the professional that's going to be leading the talk, to say, hey, this is one person that's from our community that's actually out there making it. And to kind of pick up on skills and ideas that she has also picked up along the way. Because I look at some of her professional habits and I'm like, this is something that I could do. This is amazing. So I'm glad to see that kind of growth from the people that have been in our workshops.
Oh, I mean, and it's one of those things that just fill up your heart. And because like even if it's just one person, I think it's all worth it for sure. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I feel like a proud mom.
Yes, exactly. Grace, what about you? An
I feel
impactful
like
or inspiring story?
Mhm. Yeah, I keep hearing back about stories from Singapore actually. So I'm based in California, but my parents are from Taiwan, Singapore. So sometimes I go visit Singapore, but I haven't visited since 2017. So last time I visited, I was like a student, not knowing that many people, and then in 2023, like in July, I visited Singapore. It was like kind of a last minute trip, and I posted on LinkedIn and Design Buddies to be like, "Hey, I'm going to Singapore. Anyone want to hang out?" And then I got connected with Singapore Product Design and Friends of Figma Singapore and Lottie Files and Rakuten Vicky in Singapore. So we all collaborated to do an event together. And it was so much fun. We helped a lot of like founders and designers and content creators all connect. A lot of founders like hiring. We specifically pair founders, content creators, and designers because lots of times founders are looking for design help, hiring designers, content creators as well. And also designers are looking for jobs. So I just like pairing them together. And then I see them continue to host a lot of meetups after that to gather their local design and tech community. And people keep reminding me of the event that I hosted. And it was so much fun. So I was really glad to make such an impact on a whole country, actually like going to Singapore and also working with the local communities to bring them all together.
I love how again other groups are getting together to make it just bigger and stronger. And yeah, it's so cool to see how a simple idea. I mean, it was just an easy idea that you have. Is like I just want to meet people, and then you just keep doing that in like a bigger scale and through different communities. Super impactful. And I think is thinking about your parents being from their hometown is, I feel like that's such a powerful thing. Thinking that even though you are not there, you're still putting your energy and building community there. Super cool. Thank you. And as I was saying before, like building community is not easy. Yes, like yes, I let's meet up, let's see how it goes. But then when you're scaling up and making it bigger, and you want to make different events and you want to do different things, that requires so much effort. So, Grace, what strategies have you found most effective in keeping the members engaged and active?
Yeah, I feel like not being so strict on moderation. The biggest mistake that I have made as a leader is having the wrong people in positions of power. But I feel like it was also on me for not speaking up about it early on. But for some context, I started Design Buddies when I was 22, and the people on my team were like almost 30 and or over 30, and I felt like a kid, and I was just like kind of listening to them even though I created it. And so that was like some kind of like awkward dynamic. So they would also like ban people because they didn't like them in high school and like little things like that, and kind of like yell at people if they accidentally post in the wrong channel. You have a lot of channels, so it's like easy to do that. And just kind of having an environment. And then after myself deciding to kind of like reorg the team, um, and just having an environment where people can respect each other and it's okay to make mistakes and just be more like relaxed overall with like lesser strict moderation, the community started to become really active again. And so that also helped people become active, and also continuing to host a lot of like events, design challenges, and activities to keep people engaged, and a safe space for people to like discuss things without feeling judged. And also in-person events too, and encouraging local communities to connect with each other is also another way we help people stay engaged.
Love it. Melanie, what about you? How you keep people moving along with you?
It's a mix of experimenting and sort of an entrepreneurial sense. We kind of take the lean approach of, hey, let's go with this assumption and test it on our audience. Let's interview them, see what works, see what doesn't work. And when it came to webinars, that was the first time that we actually thought about engagement through webinars. Because when it came to understanding and learning Discord, I started Discord when I started the Collective Studio. So I had like zero knowledge of like how any of it worked. So I had to like self-teach myself and then kind of like test and trial things and see what sticks. So I think this is when we got like maybe our first like couple of thousand members. We were starting to think about engagement as something that we could do more regularly. It's sort of like with social media. So we did this event called My Path to UX, and we kind of wanted to challenge ourselves and our moderation team. Like, can we host weekend webinars like every week for the month of May and see what we could do with it? And it turned out to be a pretty interesting experience because we started to get a repetition, a flow of returning members that would come to our server and kind of engage. So if they didn't engage in the text channels, they might have engaged more in the webinars. And we also figured out within that first month of like which topics really resonated strongly with our audience. So we started off just like asking friends who are professionals to kind of do webinar talks with us. Sometimes we outreach to people that don't know us and kind of just see like, where does it go? Do people enjoy doing this? Can we keep doing this? And after the first month that we did this, we just continued doing it regularly so that it became a habit and a pattern that our members were accustomed to. But when it comes to which strategy is most effective, I would also have to say it varies because participation, it kind of ebbs and flows. So with our Discord server, sometimes we're super active once and then we're kind of dead for like a week or two. So like it is always going to be like shifting like the needs of your users. So constantly being flexible and trying new things to see what works, it seems to work for us.
I feel like, again, the most important, and I hear from the two of you and from the other co-founders and founders, is that just keep learning and keep not staying on the same route as like you are not seeing anything. And I think that's been so important. And again, coming back to the personal growth and for you, Grace, to say, okay, this is it. I have things to say and let's change it and think how we mix it. and just how you keep learning back and forward from what has been happening in the past. Thank you for that. Like staying, I mean, staying constant and having that habit of keep growing and learning is hard. Yeah, sometimes you are tired. I feel like sometimes it's like, this is it. I don't want to do it anymore. So what challenges have you or obstacles have you seen so far, Melanie, in your community, and how do you overcome them?
There are a lot of struggles. I mean, right now, the biggest struggle that we have is just generating and maintaining enough revenue. So we're kind of like running at a for-profit model. So we're not making any money. We're just generating enough revenue to cover the cost of software, to keep workshops going. And it's really great that we have supporters that actually want to help us to do that. But yeah, it is really like a tough challenge just to figure out how we can figure out a good pricing model that isn't going to unfairly put people out of our webinar and also workshop experience. But yeah, apart from that, I kind of lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so yeah, something that we are looking forward to doing to maybe hopefully change that is we would like to approach either like investors or figure out ways to like restructure our business to see if there's other ways that we could generate revenue. But yeah, I think all of that is kind of like out there in the open. We haven't really made any decisions yet. It's just stuff that we're thinking about and what we're talking about.
I feel like for a lot of people that is building community at the beginning, I don't think that it's like, oh, I just want to make money, a lot of money with this. But at one point, you want to just keep bringing good stuff for your community. You just want to keep seeing your community growing and getting better. And sadly, sometimes the only way that you can make it that is bringing money in. So I feel like thank you for sharing for that. And I think it's coming. I'm seeing it. So yes. Grace, what about you?
Yeah, similar. Because when I created Design Buddies, haven't discussed anything money related as well. Like I've made so many mistakes and trial and errors and so many learnings along the way. For Design Buddies, yeah, I started it by myself. I was just bored in class and made a Discord server. So I had like zero roadmaps of ever monetizing. I didn't even know I could get paid by working with like companies until I would say like late 2022. So I didn't actually like start charging very like I guess like early 2022, like about almost 2 years into the game. I was just kind of doing it for fun because I liked connecting with people. And then I started charging. I learned so much about pricing, but I started like charging companies if they want to do events with us because they're basically advertising to their target audience, and we curated our target audience for them. So it's actually like a lot of times it's cheaper than doing like Google ads. So it's actually a really great ROI. So I also got invited to this community called Design Creators, and a lot of like really big design influencers, content creators are in there. So we just like share information and share knowledge and share pricing with each other. And that personally really helps me, is having a network of people doing similar things and sharing ideas and inspiring each other to keep growing. And also before, my team was a bit interesting. So they made me believe, well, like the things that they said had me believe that like money is like greed, and for a while it was like a dirty word. And after doing the reorg and surrounding myself with other entrepreneurs, other people making impact in society, I changed my mindset, saying like money is a tool to help me like scale Design Buddies to be able to help more people. And so after that mindset shift and really realizing my value in Design Buddies, I was able to pitch like 5-figure deals to companies, and they would they would go for it and stuff. So we have like 10 times our revenue from 2022. So it was like a lot of trial and error. Me just like initially started for fun, but having the a community that wants to support and also has the experience, like share knowledge with each other, and also recognizing my value helped me overcome that struggle of making money.
Love it. Yeah, that's again so powerful, and I think that's that idea of what money means and how we can use it in a positive thing. And again, what the two of you are doing and the communities that you have is impactful. Again, you have thousands of different stories that have helped people in growing and learning, in finding community, and again, to make bigger and better, you just need the money. So why not to have it for a good purpose and a good intentions and a great communities. um Another thing that for me has been really impactful being part of the tech community and the UX community is the diversion and inclusion of the community. Yes. And I feel for any community that it wants to be there and want to be present, this is a really powerful thing to have. So, Grace, how you ensure that your community remains inclusive and welcoming for different individuals and various backgrounds?
Yeah, we just try to be understanding of people's differences. For example, someone says like a phrase that might be like okay in their background, instead of like assuming they're in there to like have bad intentions, we try to explain like, hey, you shouldn't say it this way because it could mean this, this, and this in different cultures, and just being like being approached like, I don't think people join design buddies to like stir up drama. I mean, sometimes they do, but just not assuming bad intent, and also giving people second chances, because sometimes people like, and including myself, like many years ago, like the internet on the 2010s is certainly different than the internet now, and sometimes things okay then might not be okay now. So just being really aware of people's backgrounds and being respectful, not assuming bad intent, and also being open-minded to learning both sides of the situation, instead of just assuming like someone says something and like they're a bad person banned, but like kind of go a little deeper and just try to help understand them more.
Hmm. I love that again, we are all learning and we're all growing. Yes, like wherever we are today, we're still discovering so many things and we want to grow and be better. But to have a space where you can say something that is not right and you are able to have a community that supports you and help you to learn and grow, I think that's more powerful than anything, instead of saying like just leave, then come back again. So that's really powerful, and that's how the community grows and how we all grow personally too. So, Melanie, what about you?
Yeah, so this is pretty important about diversity and inclusion. On our Discord server, we do have one channel that's kind of dedicated to, showing solidarity. And we did this as a response to one of our mod team members actually experienced a racialized incident while they were on public transit in New York. And I was kind of disgusted by it because it also was something that I've also experienced myself. And I think a lot of people who also share that kind of a minority experience, like it's different. Like we do feel vulnerable and attacked when these kind of things happen. So I thought this would be a great way to kind of unite everyone on the server, to put this channel there to educate people on what racism, sexism, and all that kind of prejudice looks like, and also have links to articles and books and also academic papers so that people are knowledgeable and they understand what racism looks like, how to avoid it, and how to be more sensitive and more compassionate towards each other. So we have that there on the channel just to make sure everyone who sees it, it's right there at the top and it's not going away. And it's a constant reminder to also let people know that like Discord, even though it has its history of being kind of like a hate space, it was a safe space for like a lot of hatred at one point. But since Discord has kind of blown up and become worldwide, that's been diminishing. But still, if people are joining Discord feeling like, oh, is it really like a safe place? We want to make sure that people see it right at the top. This is a friendly place. We are not supporting or espousing hatred, and we don't tolerate it from anyone else as well. So that's one thing that we did. Another thing is pronouns. So on our server, we didn't always have reaction roles for everything. We just kind of develop it as we go along. And I think it came to the suggestion to me that we should be using pronouns. And I only did it because I actually asked a few friends of mine who were disability advocates who wanted to talk about accessibility standards for autistic people. And I realized, hey, you know what? We could make a tag to help people in our community kind of identify with each other, to recognize that, like, okay, there's other autistic people here, people with ADHD, other types of disabilities. If we have more visibility on our server of who has this shared experience, it will be easier for us to to disclose that stuff when someone's having like a webinar talk with us. And I also included pronouns because I felt like, you know what, these two things are all very much related. Like, you know, I identify as being neurodivergent, like I'm an autistic woman. But I definitely know that there are a lot of trans people who are also neurodivergent as well. So I felt like if I'm going to be including one identity, why not just do everyone? So in the same sweep, I kind of wanted to make sure that we set the right tone and make sure that everyone who is in the space can feel free to like share and identify their pronouns as well as whether or not they have a disability. And yeah, it's been effective so far. It's helped people to even join our moderation team. I think like half of our moderation team, I've come across people who are either neurodivergent. So I kind of feel like, yeah, I'm kind of in a group of people who are like myself. I don't feel like such a outlier anymore. And
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, the community helps to do that, to just bring people together instead of like keeping everyone separate.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Love it. That is so visible. And I feel like that's what has been happening in the past and in some spaces, that you have to hide who you are. You have to hide a little piece of yourself. But when we all start sharing who we are, again, I'm always saying I'm immigrant, I'm queer. Honestly, I'm old. I say it with proud. I know that I'm not that old, but changing careers in the 40s is not easy, and a lot of people put like a big no to that. So these are the things that I'm like proud to share who I am. And when we all start saying this, it's like, okay, it's a lot of us. It's a lot of us here, and we are supported, and we have a space to be visible. And I love again how you're saying that you're sharing all this information for people to know, like the knowledge is power. And to say that I have the privilege again to have all this information available to me at one point. Not everybody has come from the same path to have some information available. So start sharing that give us again power of knowledge and power of being nice to each other. Yeah. Love it. Okay. So, yes, any collaborations, Melanie? So, have you partnered up with other communities, organizations to amplify the impact? And can you share any of the outcomes?
Yeah, so in the past, like this is probably the first 3 months that Collective Studio started, we were approached by Reach, which is sort of like an entrepreneurial kind of education kind of organization. And they were also affiliated with FAMU University, which is like a historically Black college in Florida. So they actually paid us to do workshops with their students as well. And that was like the first time where I started to feel a little bit of fear. I was just like, oh my God, I'm starting to make workshops for university students. Am I ready for this? But yeah, I'm glad that I went through that whole entire process because, you know, working with colleges and universities really helped me to reconnect with maybe even the past self of me, you know, because when I went through school, I kind of wish that I had opportunities to do kind of like cool events like this. Another thing that we've done very recently, this was like a couple of months ago, I partnered with, me and Claire, we partnered with Conestoga College. They're based in my province in Ontario. It was really interesting because the group of students that we had to work with, they had a certain set of issues that were facing them. So they were in the latter part of their program, and some of the students that were expected to get internships did not get internships. And so they did a design challenge offered through us. So me and Claire, we kind of came up with a challenge prompt. We came up with this, a rubric. We came up with the assignment requirements and stuff like that. And it was sort of like a project brief for students to work on so they can actually build a prototype that they can put into their portfolios. And like I said before, the Collective Studio, we help people to do that. We want to help people to build projects that they can actually feel proud of, and also begin, you know, starting the role as being a professional UX designer by utilizing all the skills that they've learned. So we're pretty glad that we have, you know, done this workshop with the college. And one of the college program organizers, they were really impressed by us, and they kind of were interested in extending a contract for us to teach our students in the fall as well in the winter. We're not sure if it's happened yet, but if it does, it would be like a huge significance to us so that we can help more people. Because definitely when it comes to boot camp education, and I'm kind of a critic of boot camps because I don't like how, okay, first of all, it's great. It's great that it's available and it's widely accessible to everyone. The problem is that some of these courses, they don't teach you how to communicate your ideas, how to persuade stakeholders. All that stuff is kind of missing. And through our kind of workshop experience, we do have kind of like one-on-one meeting sessions where we give constructive feedback, and it actually helps the design students to improve as well. And I understand that with boot camps, everyone's experience is very different. So some people come out, they feel as though it's great and they've been able to get work. But for those that unfortunately have not got the internships or the work experience, we still want to give them a chance. So I'm pretty happy that we worked with the college, because that would be something that I would love to do with the Collective Studio further, is to do more workshop experiences, especially with people who are learning UX. And yeah, that's it.
I love it that it's here in Canada too. Yes, I think that's so impactful and so meaningful. Again, for them, but as you as co-founder, yeah, too. So cool. Grace, what about you? I know that you have shared a couple of events so far and collaborations, but what else have you had in the past?
Yeah, we work with a lot of different types of organizations and communities and companies too. Like, I love working with college students too. So we partner up with a lot of university clubs in helping them like find speakers, judges, mentors for their hackathons and connections to the industry. We also work with startups to help them kind of like hire designers and get feedback on their work. Um, and also a lot of companies would do like workshops and share resources with people. So it's been really fun just finding mutual ways, because like how we decide to like strategize our collaborations is the core motivation why people want to join is to land a job. But to get a job, you need skills, you need connections. So that's why we partner up with a lot of design tool companies to help provide resources and free tools like Adobe Creative Clouds and subscriptions to help people gain skills and stuff for their and project for their portfolio. And also we also partner up with recruiting teams like at Google and Pinterest and startup founders to hire designers, so the designers in our community can get connected with their next UX design role. So it's been really fun. And upcoming, we're working with Learners, who does the world's largest UX research conference, to do an in-person conference in San Francisco. We have a lot of sponsors and spaces at Google San Francisco that we are collaborating with to throw up a conference too. So it's going to be an in-person conference in SF in early November and streamed free online for the whole world to access and connect as well. And more in-person stuff.
I mean, that's kind of the
Yeah.
next question that is coming up. But something that I want to ask you, Grace, how do you do all of this? I mean, mostly, how big is your team? Like, I imagine that you have people that is working along you, or yes, I know that at the beginning that you were saying that it was a lot of you, that you did a restructure, but how you make this happen? Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I also work a full-time job, so I have a small team. I keep it small so the decisions get made really quickly. So we have about 4 people helping me with partnerships and sponsorships. Alexa helping me with partnerships and sponsorships. Hadida helping me with the community, and Afsel helping me with design challenges and events, helping the community stay engaged. And I guess how I do all of it is like, I feel like before I used to have this mindset that like I had to limit myself by just my job title or just my major. And I realized I don't have to think that way. So I just like see myself as like life beyond my job title. Like, yeah, I like UX design, it's fun, but I also like entrepreneurship, content creation, community building, doing partnerships, want to do all of that. So I just kind of have fun with all of that. And all these things I learned skills that cross over with each other. Like at work, I learned like a lot of technical skills and design buddies, content creation. I learned a lot of soft skills that all like complement each other. So yeah, we just kind of have fun with everything.
Love it. Thank you. Melanie, what is coming? What is coming? I know that you told us a little bit about the possible partnership again with the college, but what is coming in the future?
Apart from that, I guess between building more workshops and partnering with colleges and universities. This is just sort of like a dream of mine. Like I would love to start like an agency, just focusing on certain projects that we can actually end up using to help train future UX designers, and also figuring out some kind of way to also integrate that with our design sprints as well. So that people will be working on challenge prompts that are actually based on stuff that we've actually worked on as real projects. So I want to like share that work and at least share that experience with some people, either like create some more employment opportunities or internships. I really enjoy like mentoring people, so that's something that I could see myself doing in the future. But of course, the real future is unknown. It's a secret. So obviously the best ideas are yet to come.
Yeah, well, and I mean, what I love is like, let's put it out to the world and people is listening, people is hearing. So you never know. But if you could give an advice to someone who wants to start a community tomorrow, what would be that advice?
Who's answering?
Oh,
Me?
so Melanie, my
Oh,
bad.
okay, yeah, sorry.
I was looking into your eyes.
Okay.
Melanie.
Yeah, so I'd say don't get discouraged by all the types of communities out there. I know when I started, my Discord, I thought, oh, well, how can I make a Discord when there's this other Discord community that has 13 million members and mine only has 2? Don't worry about the numbers. The numbers does not matter. All that really matters is finding out what you do differently and what you do the best. Don't worry about gimmicks. Don't worry about following and copying other people's progress. Do what makes sense for you, and do what is like really resonating to your passions as well. Because like if you're worried about someone copying you, don't worry about that. It won't happen. As long as you stay true to yourself, no one's going to be able to copy you. No one can actually be a carbon copy of you. Only you could be you. So that's like a healthy piece of advice to stick to what you're doing.
Love it. Thank you. Grace, what about you? What advice would you give someone who wants to start their own community?
Yeah, I also really resonate with like don't worry about people copying. I would also say like life is iterative. Like don't have to be perfect. Just do it and you'll learn along the way. So that's how I live my life. I just kind of do everything I think it's interesting and just take risks and make mistakes, but love the mistakes because they all like teach me something. So yeah, just iterating, just like UX, making community and seeing what goes, and then having people join, learning about why are they motivated to join, what interests do they have, what problems do they have, how can I help them solve them, and just kind of working backwards from there. But just doing it and seeing what happens, throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, and collecting data. So it's like UXing it as well. Like I just don't think too much, just do it and like look at the data and like iterate.
Love it. Yeah, just go for it. Again, is one of those thoughts that is like, oh, I would like to have a community of this. Just go for it. Just put a message and see who shows up. And again, with all the co-founders that I have met, this is exactly what happened. It's not that they've been planning for like a year to do any of these communities. It's being like genuinely from the heart, something that they wanted to do. And then you will be surrounded with people that want to be part of that community. Thank you, the two of you, for this. I have a couple of questions here. I feel like a question from Paul. Let's see. When seeking US design jobs and internships in the US, are these opportunities open to MIEA students, or is the US students required? I feel like this is just such a technical question. I wouldn't know what to say. Is that, Grace, do you think that is that for you? Do you know what to answer here?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't want to give the wrong answer.
Yes, yeah, I feel like this is.
So I was like, I don't know.
I mean,
oh yeah,
I'm not sure what EMEA means. What does that mean?
Yeah, no idea.
I think it's a region. Like APAC, they call it Asia Pacific. I think EMA is one of them. I don't know at the top of my head.
Okay, well, I don't know the answer because I don't know everything about immigration law in the States, but I think there's like a HEB1 or HEB2 visa that you have to apply for a permanent job. So I don't know, but you'd have to ask the employer. Like definitely if you're thinking about doing this, because I thought about doing this when I wanted to go to the UK, is try to do a bit of research, try to figure out which companies are eligible to hire and also issue visas, and see what you can find from that. That's my best answer for that. Sorry, we're not experts in immigrating
Yeah.
to the US.
None of this. I was thinking, Paul, I will find someone in LinkedIn that they specialize in this, and this is exactly what they do for their LinkedIn about U.S. job and people and immigration. No idea. But I have a good one. The next one. I feel like this one is something that you two can answer. So, what advice or tips do you have in creating genuine long-term connections virtually? That's a good one. Grace, do you want to go? Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I kind of see it as making friends. Like the term networking seems like really transactional. I try not to like use that term too much because it feels like, oh, I need to like find value or like need to do something to collaborate with like right away. But I kind of just see it as making friends, like getting to know each other, and learning about what each other are working on, how we can help each other long term, even though the collaboration doesn't come like right away. Think of it as like an investment. Something might come later on, or just you just enjoy each other's company. And yeah, don't think of like you need to get something out of it. Just think of just like, oh, enjoying the company and learning about other people and seeing ways to help each other out.
Yes.
So for
yeah, Melon, do you want to add? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so for the question, is it to do with long-term connections like network connections, or is it
Yeah,
to
I think
do
it's
with
long-term connections virtually. I think that the clue here is maybe virtually. I mean, any long-term connections or any relationship kind of have the same idea, but I think that virtually is kind of the special part here.
Okay. It's quite broad though, because I think there's different approaches depending on how you want to go about it. I guess when it comes to friendships, I'm really bad at this, but checking in on people and just staying engaged with them by either having some kind of um, either routine or some kind of rhythm that you guys are accustomed to. If you plan a games night with your friends, maybe start that if you haven't been doing that. If you want to keep them engaged on a particular hobby that you're interested in. That's the only thing I could think of when it comes to like that kind of relationship. But when it's more professional, I don't know. There's different ways to go about it. For example, maybe this is more related to client relationships. Is if you have a really good client relationship, it's very good to like keep them in the loops of what you're doing, because this is one thing that I've done with one of my clients that were based in the UK. They ran a chain of like Thai restaurants in London. And I worked with them as like a graphic designer for like 1 year. It was an amazing job. I loved what I did there, and they were also very happy with my work. And I did actually like a usability survey on my services, and I asked them kind of questions about my productivity, how well did I perform, and they enjoyed just doing that kind of survey, just to like give me the feedback that I kind of deserved for helping them out. But also when it came to projects and stuff that we were doing in the future, I always like email them just to kind of let them know, like, hey, do you need my services again? I remember we work together. If there's anything else that you need to do, or if you're looking to expand your team and you need a lead designer under case, I'm here. So like there's things like that you could do with like just people who you worked with, just to kind of keep them in the loop of what you're doing business wise if you're a freelancer. But yeah, that's my long rambly answer.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I mean, I think for me is being genuine. Like if I want to build a relationship, I generally do. Like with any friend that I will do, I try to follow up, say hi, connect with people. I think that's sometimes it's as simple as just connecting. Christy, help us to realize what is EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Thank you, Christy. And this is it for our month of building community. But to close up, why don't we share again the name of the community, where people can find you, and one of an event that is coming up right away, so they will be interested to find the communities. Melanie, you want to start?
We do have a webinar actually today. So we have a speaker from the Philippines who's doing a talk with us. It's probably around 9 a.m. I think in the time of the Philippines as well as Australia. So if you're in those areas, definitely join us. If you're in the Eastern time zone, it'll be about like 9 p.m. So it'll be like an hour after this session. But if you want to make it to other webinar talks, like we have some more webinars coming up near the end of the month. Kitty's Jones, she's a Toronto-based UX designer. So she's sharing some tips on networking and also how to create coffee chats with people that you never met on LinkedIn. So if you want to learn about that, definitely jump in. All of our webinars are free for all of our members. The easiest way to find us is HTTPS, the whole thingamajig, tcstudio.cc, and then you could find us.
Perfect. And again, they can find you people in LinkedIn too if they want to, and that's another way to find the community.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have the ability to jump in chat because it will be a lot easier to just copy and paste.
I put already the information here, but just
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Grace, what about you?
Yeah, for Design Buddies, we're on Discord, discord.gg/Design Buddies, or on website designbuddies.community if you want to learn about us. We have 2 big events coming up. We have an event about how to price your services as a freelancer on October 18th. It's going to be like 8 a.m. Pacific, so Europe-friendly time zone, Europe and Africa, and Middle East-friendly time zone. We try to do more of that. And also in-person event in SF, San Francisco, California. We're finalizing a date. It'll be November 8th, 9th, or 10th. In Google San Francisco, but also live streamed online, completely free to watch. The theme will be about standing out as a designer in 2024 to land that job. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter. I'm on everything, on TikTok, YouTube, Threads. A little bit of everything. I like to share about my learnings in life, design and career advice, and travel tips, lifestyle stuff. So I'm all everything. So feel free to hop into Design Buddies and meet fellow buddy friends.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, the 2 of you, for closing up, building community so strong, and sharing about the amazing work that the 2 of you are doing. Thank you, everybody. See you in October. In October, I'll be talking with people that I have worked with. I think I'm bringing my ex-coworkers or people that I'm working right now, so it's going to be interesting. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.